So good evening, Omar. Good evening, Neil. Thank you very much for jumping on with us after a fantastic opening weekend in the 2021 Elite Series. Let's kind of dive straight in, really. Neil, you can start. What did you see of the weekend, and what did you think overall?
Well, I think first and foremost, it was great to see Elite League hockey back, albeit in a condensed format. I know from speaking with Pash and Killer, Simsy, etc., the amount of work that has gone into this weekend, or not just the last weekend, but obviously the next 5 weeks in this entire series, and done in such a condensed way. Just an absolutely phenomenal effort by everybody. And I know from obviously having worked within the sport as well, just you know that the work is there with people and people's willingness to put on a good product. So I have to say what I found over the course of this weekend, thought the standard was good. Obviously, you could tell certainly in those first couple of games in the Saturday, some of the players obviously hadn't played over the course of the last year, haven't had much ice time, if any. And then, of course, you did have some of the imports and some of the British guys who have been playing. But, the standard is certainly thought on Sunday was better than what I saw on Saturday. And I think that will only continue to increase as the series goes along. But really superb effort from what I've seen so far. And it's really interesting as well, just the whole draft system, the way you guys did it. I thought it was absolutely superb. Thought it was great fun, highly engaging, and stuff that Pash and I always talk about, like how can you engage people and get people involved. I thought it was absolutely superb the way Killer did it. I liked all your videos, look, afterwards about good pickup and all the rest. Good fun, and I think it started off incredibly well, and long may it continue.
Yeah, we had some nice pickups during that draft. That is definitely true. Patch, how hard is it to sign a team in 5 weeks, get them together on Monday, and then start playing live games on Saturday?
Well, I could tell you it's hard, but I've never been in a situation like that. And like towards the latter part of the season, with local players and not playing as well. I mean, we've done it in Manchester. I've done it also in some ways in Dundee. It is a challenging, I guess, way to do it, especially when it's a normal season. But in a year of a pandemic like that, especially when you have certain players playing and then other players not playing, and then your local guys too. But all in all, I think I can kind of repeat what Neil said. I thought the second night was better, and I really do think that throughout the process of the next few weeks, you're going to see an increase in pace. And I'm sure all the players will come back to their coaching staff on Sunday night and say, "Oh, I'll be better," because I'm sure the best is yet to come.
Feel free, whoever wants to jump in here, but it's intriguing, isn't it? Because we drafted, everyone has basically started from the same point, and because of the way the budgets have worked, there's no difference now. There are 4 teams in there, and it just comes down to who you could recruit.
I think, it was always like with Pash and I, whenever we were in Manchester, obviously a brand new organization, and our budget was right down at the baseline. And whenever you're coming up against some of the big boys, the Cardiffs, the Sheffields and Nottinghams, you could throw Belfast into the mix there as well. And you look at almost that disparity between the haves and the have-nots in some ways. But of course, very different business models. You look at Sheffield and Nottingham, Cardiff, etc., they sell out their buildings on a regular basis. They're able to afford players with bigger resumes and all the rest, and have that depth that we often yearn for in the likes of Manchester. But I think your point is well made. Look, this is as equitable as it's ever going to be in the Elite League terms. And as I say, the draft was superb, but all the coaches are working from the same kind of baseline budgeting figure, which is not normal at all. And I think that's going to be the really interesting thing for me. Is I always look at, say, someone like Finner. Finner's a shrewd operator whenever it comes to recruiting and maximizing his budget. And there's plenty of contacts around the hockey world, as do all the guys. And you've seen that with all the various different coaches. But I think Ryan, the Storm team is one. Maybe it's because it's close to my heart in many ways, but it's the Storm team looks really strong to me. So it's going to be really interesting over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks to see how that materializes.
Yeah, I've said it before, Luke. Now everybody's on even ground. Fair game to everybody. But like Neil said, I think Finna's a great recruiter and Danny as well. So you put them in a situation where everybody's even. And obviously, Deuce recruited a good team and Aaron as well. And obviously with Aaron losing his starting goalie, but Churchill coming in. And I thought he looked really solid on Saturday when he came after maybe, the slow start, but that's, you're not even warmed up or anything. He did well in the third. And so that would be interesting to see as well. But no, it's great. Like Neil said, everybody has, a baseline of imports on their team. Everybody had their draft and certain players were protected. Obviously, Sheffield had the opportunity. I don't know how they could have see that coming of protecting Liam Kirk, because I thought he was probably the best player all weekend that we've seen. So no, fair play to all the four coaches to make it happen, especially in that. And obviously Deuce too as director of hockey and making that in such a small condensed period of time.
I think, sorry, look, I just don't know what Pash said there about Sheffield and Churchill, and obviously they're starting netminder going down. That's a big hit. I have no idea the severity of that injury for, is it Moose?
Moose, yeah.
But yeah, that's a tough break for Aaron Fox so early in the tournament. But it's given him visibility with young Churchill. Thought he had maybe a tough day yesterday against Manchester. You could see, Finner will have been saying to the Storm guys, take your shots whenever you get them, and put him under a lot of pressure, which he stood up on many occasions, but he probably would want maybe one or two of those goals back, maybe bar the game-winning goal, which was an absolute
what a rocket.
yeah. I don't think even your man, former Dundee star Dan Bacala, would have glove up on that one, Pash, but that was a tough break for Aaron Fox and the Sheffield Steelers early doors, losing their import netminder.
Should say Ben Churchfield. Let's get
Churchfield. What did I say? Churchill, right? Oh, sorry, Benny.
No. Right. I would say so behind the scenes, we did a press conference with Aaron and Ben for Sheffield Media, and he handled himself incredibly well for such a young guy who'd come in and first start and openly said he maybe wanted a couple back. I was really impressed actually with how he handled.
He played at that's still a good school, NCA, where he played. So I think truth be told, it's probably a good thing for himself. Like, obviously not that Muse got hurt, but for him to get that opportunity to get the net, because he can showcase himself across the league too. That, if I was him, that's his opportunity to kind of showcase himself to potentially be a number one in, next year. So
let's start with Manchester, top of the table after 2 games. Very long way to go. And obviously everyone has already made the playoffs. But if you're a Storm fan, absolutely enjoy this. So as long as it will go on. Do you think Finner was a bit shrewd? He drafted a lot of guys that he played with before or had played for him. Do you think we saw the fruits of that, especially given you'd only had 5 days to get the guys together?
100%. The Dallas club captain was retained and what have you. Then Simmons, Fawcett, Kieran Long coming back in from Belfast, had previous experience, obviously, with the Manchester Storm for a couple of years, and a few other guys in there as well that Finner has had around either throughout the course of his career or in Manchester as well. So a lot of those guys knew each other or know each other, and that goes a long way. If you actually look down the likes of the Sheffield roster, the Nottingham roster, a lot of new guys been thrown into the mixer, and that is so difficult. Pash will talk to this better than me, but I know in our very first season in Manchester, whenever we had to recruit that team so quickly, actually trying to get that rapport and relationships built up and that togetherness within a team is not the easiest thing, and it does take time. So again, as I said earlier on, Ryan's shrewd whenever it comes to his recruiting, and I think he's done a really good job in regards to pulling this roster together in such a short space of time. I really like the look of the Manchester netty as well. Bonner, I forgot the name. Yeah, he looked really good over the course of the weekend. Stephen Murphy, obviously sitting there, Belfast Giants. Maybe coming towards the twilight of his career, but I'm sure he'll get opportunities over the course of the next few weeks as well. But I really like the look of the netminder in Manchester as well.
Yeah, Patch, it wouldn't be too bad to have Stephen Murphy as a second choice goalie, would it?
No, I mean, well, with the condensed schedule, I'm sure we'll see him, rather sooner than later, and with with Nottingham already using both goalies and Sheffield being in that position too. And, Ryan has the luxury of having a very good backup there in Manchester too, to kind of not only give a starter a rest, but, give Murph the opportunity to get some ice time, because you never know what could happen in the future too. It might even create a battle as well down the line. So no, Manchester, like Neil said, I mean, he based his team off of people he knew, and, he brought his captain back and he signed a few players from the past. And, look, just thinking of the there from last year, Critchlow, Fawcett. So a bit of, people they know, like Sheffield did that as well. I know Nottingham now getting Perlini back, that will help. And obviously Coventry getting Ferreira back will certainly, again, see what they have all. I think what we'll see now is in the next few weeks, what's going to be the lines and everything. Why are you laughing?
No, just carry on, Patch. Just carry on.
What are you laughing about?
Gosh.
What are you?
Hold on. When we say Coventry, you say
Blaze. Yeah, that's pretty rubbish though, Luke. You guys didn't include that in the home game on Sunday. That's supposed to be that's an error on the announcement.
Top of my to-do list.
That would have been the second biggest error of the weekend, but you fixed the first one. Let's make sure you fix the second here.
Top of my to-do list is that one. Let's talk about when I say Coventry, you say
Liz.
Excellent. To lose, albeit an exhibition match 6-1, and then come back a few days later and, to be honest, dominate Nottingham especially through two periods. But takes some doing, and Danny Stewart must have been really happy with his guys yesterday.
I've already mentioned Bonner and nets for Manchester, but I think one of the big signings for me was Shane Owen with Coventry. They obviously former Fife Flyer, saw him in Belfast extensively as well. He kind of at times, strangely with fan base, I think in Belfast, divided opinion, but for me, top class netminder, and he's been stellar over the course of these first couple of games. Danny Stewart, great pickup there in that regard. I think one of the other big ones as well, and I think we'll see him coming really to the fore over the course of the next 5 weeks. Great up with McCammon. Sorry.
Good pickup.
Jeez, don't want that. Mike Hammond, what a superb pickup there as well. Sure, did he get a goal yesterday? Maybe an assist yesterday, but he's so creative, makes plays out of nothing. Really good signing there for the Blaze. And then the likes of Sam Duggan, I'm interested to see him. I know Todd brought him in Cardiff, didn't he? And he's had extensive experience in the likes of Sweden, young player. He stood out to me yesterday as well. So I think Danny's got a really good squad there. And I think you're right, look, that exhibition game on Thursday evening, you were maybe thinking, is the writing going to be on the wall here for Coventry in this tournament? But Danny's I used to love watching Danny Stewart play. Danny was very thinner whenever he bit of a rink rat, and he was always up and at him. He got his teams fired up, and he's exactly the same as a coach. So you knew whenever the competitive action was going to kick in, Danny would have his guys ready. And long way to go, first weekend and all the rest. But I like the look of that Coventry Blaze team.
No, Coventry look really quick too, so I like that. I mean, the last few years you can tell that Danny built off speed, and I think Neil nailed it on the head with Shane Owen too. I thought he was the best goalie of the weekend. Really solid in both games. He skated a bit here in Dundee. I think his partner from around the area. So no, he was really good and tried to stay in shape. He was always ready. So I'm sure when he got that opportunity to go to Coventry, he jumped on it. And I think Blaze got really a solid goaltender for this tournament. And it's gonna at one point in time, there's gonna be some tight games, and you've seen it already. The four teams all play tight games, and it could go either way, this whole thing. But I guess if you're Manchester, you might as well just stop it right now and take the trophy.
I just think the interesting thing with this is obviously the condensed format over the course of the 5 weeks, a hell of a lot of games. Where as we get deeper and deeper into this, teams like Nottingham, who have obviously got Bounds and Whistle, and Manchester, we've already talked about, have got Bonner and Stephen Murphy. Mm-hmm. That extra layer of protection with the backup, strong, experienced backup netminders might just stand them in really good stead.
Absolutely.
We'll see. Huge opportunity though for Jordan Headley to come in for Coventry and really show what he can do as well. Someone else I wanted to pick up from Coventry, Blaze, is Vania Antonov. Now, this is someone a lot of people talked about playing in the IHL. He looked really good yesterday. He was trying some moves out. They didn't come off, but you kind of thought, wow, this kid has absolutely no fear at all.
No, he plays with a lot of confidence, which is nice to see. And you know that was one of the I guess the picks that I would say across the league, everybody was curious to see how he goes. So very early on, like we've all mentioned, but definitely some upside there. And it's good to see like there's a lot of young Brits around the league too that are getting maybe more opportunities than in a normal season. I'm just thinking about a guy like, you know, Garrigan that I had last year. He's putting himself in that shop window, even though we have him, right? He's coming back to us, right, Gaz? But no, but it's good for these guys to kind of show what they're worth. And even like a guy like Bobby Chamberlain in Nottingham that came in the lineup yesterday, it's a great opportunity for him to kind of showcase. So I think regarding all of that, I mean, it's guys competing for a championship, competing in a tournament, but also in some ways, you know, everybody across the league will be looking at how they're going to build their team for the future. And certainly some guys will be on people's radars. And obviously the advantage that the 4 teams have is they're right in their doorstep and they can sign them. Well, technically they can't sign him right now, but yeah, they can have that experience of knowing the coach, I guess, and the organization.
Yeah, this is a big thing for me with this tournament. Obviously, we're used to having extensive imports, aren't we, within the Elite League? And this is such a great opportunity for those young British players to really showcase themselves, because it's not just the 4 coaches within this tournament that are watching. Pat, Adam, Keith, Todd Dudiham, et cetera, will all be watching these games and watching to see how these young British players kind of fare across the next 5 weeks. So it's a great opportunity for them. I do feel sorry for a lot of them in the sense that, you know, they haven't had extensive skating over the course of the last 12 to 15 months. So it's not easy for them just to all of a sudden just hit the ice running, so to speak. But, you know, what a great opportunity to showcase their talents and hopefully get a professional contract moving into the 21-22 season.
Yeah, and it's fun for them too. Like you said, they haven't played in X amount of time, and then they're playing in a bubble for 5 weeks. I mean, it's something too for the players that, you know, maybe they were second guessing if they were going to keep playing for however many years, and to get that opportunity to play. And the other team that's a big advantage too that's there is Todd as director of the tournament too. So I'm sure he'll be sniffing around.
Well, let's come on to Nottingham. You mentioned Garrigan. Patch, you coach up in Scotland. You've got Craig Garrigan and Liam Stenton both playing. Stenton logged a lot of minutes over this weekend as well. Huge opportunity for the pair of them. Yeah,
I mean, Deuce put his full trust into Stanton. I thought he did all right at both games. I thought Gaz also did good. And, you know, Nottingham have a lot of, Brits up front too. So at the back as well. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how they all shape up for the next few weeks. And the one thing that I will say, all those younger forwards on Nottingham, and even all those forwards around the league that are a bit younger, have that jump, have that speed. So I'm assuming like we're going to see a lot of energy, even if the games as they go on, maybe the older guys will probably be like trimming it down a bit, but these guys will have a lot of energy. And I expect a guy like Garrigan to bring it every game. He done it with us, and I'm sure he's going to do it for Nottingham. And Stanton to seize his opportunity. I thought Tetlow looked good too, as a youngster. And then you have obviously Lewis Hook there in Nottingham. But yeah, Nottingham started 0-2. I wouldn't press the panic button if I was them, because it's still very early on. I like the look of some of their forwards, like that Boivin kid and Domingue. I think they'll be good. So, I mean, again, it's not it's the first weekend, but I guess as a positive note for every week, every team is that there's a lot of parity everywhere. It's not like, oh, this team is way better, or this team is way worse. So it's going to be competitive to the very end, which will keep the viewers entertained and, keep people interested throughout the process. It's one of the teams, I can't see this personally, but I don't see any team winning all the games. Technically, only Manchester can do that. So maybe Manchester, I guess.
Yeah, I think Pash touched on one guy that kind of I've watched over the course of the last few years, and that's Tetlow. He's got a great shot. He's got size, physicality, skates really well for a big guy. He's got a lot of tools in his armory. I thought he really impressed over the course of the weekend, albeit Nottingham obviously had a difficult first weekend. But Tetlow stands out for me. And then as Pash mentioned there as well, the likes of Lewis Hook and Mark Garside coming in on loan from Belfast, and then Ollie Betteridge, Rob Lakovic, guys who are like long-standing Panthers. It's good to have that nucleus there, but I think as we mentioned at the top of the program that a lot of new imports coming into the Panthers, which is not always easy, but I think we'll see as time moves forward here in this event that chemistry will be formed pretty quickly.
That line there of Bovan, Kangalosi and Doming looked particularly dangerous.
I thought they looked really good against Sheffield. And remember, Nottingham, I think with 3-4 minutes left in the game on Saturday, missed a shootout, which Church Field made a nice stick save. So, no, again, you got some forwards up front. You got obviously Kirk and Sheffield with the Conleys, the Dowd. In Coventry, we always mention Mike Hammond, and in Manchester, obviously with Fortier and their depth up front. I mean, it's good to see. There's a lot of parity, and as much as there's good players on every team, there's also the structure of how they play. It's interesting what the coaches will be doing moving forward, if they're going to play more of an attacking or defensive, depending on the game and whatnot. The adjustments that will be made throughout this tournament too are going to be massive. So listen, the first weekend was really good. I think the elephant in the room got dealt on Sunday morning, which was great from the league, but it's looking a lot more positive now moving forward.
We've talked about young guys. Alex Graham has got a good finish there. I was just thinking that when I saw the lineup for Saturday, imagine being Alex Graham, being young, and you're on a line with Jonathan Phillips and Matthew Myers.
Yeah, I mean, brilliant to see. I mean, I've one British player that I've really admired throughout his entire career, watched him for a long, long time now, is Jonathan Phillips. And, what age is he now? Is he 40, 41? I don't know. Is he younger than that? I don't know. But
I think he's younger than that. So you just put the 4.
Is he? Okay, that's me in trouble next time to see him. But he's an incredible athlete and works his tail off for that organization. So whenever you get the opportunity to be on a line, as you say, with young Graham there, alongside Matty Myers as well, who is like a superb servant to GB Sport, or to GB Ice Hockey, to the Cardiff Devils, formerly Nottingham as well. I saw quite a bit of social media conjecture with him in Orange over the course of this tournament. So those are great pickups. And as a young player, you're only going to learn whenever you play with people like that. Matty Myers just does all the basics right. He's a demon in the face-off circle. You'll see him go straight to the net whenever he gets the opportunity, and make a nuisance of himself at all times. Real kind of top end players. I love Myers and John O'Phillips. I think they're superb.
No, and Neil touched on that, Myers and John O'Phillips, guys that have won many championships in the past, and that's maybe something, like you said, with a Graham, that plays alongside the small details. And I know I spoke to Deuce a bit about that, and he was adamant to get 1 or 2 young older guys that wanted to kind of help the younger guys as well, and see like Matheson there in Nottingham. So I'm sure all these guys are kind of setting the way for the young guys and to move forward and how to be a professional. But again, I think the whole book gets thrown out when you have this 5-week. So it's new to everybody. So I don't think there's ever been a way forward in this. Maybe the most creative team will eventually win.
I think one of the interesting things as well was obviously Liam Kirk has been away for the last kind of couple of seasons. And really the last time I'd really seen him play, he was this skinny kid. He's actually started to fill out and bulk out. You can see him turning into a man before your eyes. And Pash mentioned it earlier on there. I mean, he really stood out for me. You got two against Panthers and 1 against Storm. And he stood out to me, and like lovely finish yesterday actually. But yeah, he's you can just tell that he's been away and been playing a lot of hockey over the course of the last couple of years, albeit maybe he hasn't been playing as much over the course of the pandemic. But you can see him filling out now into a man. And it's going to be really interesting to see actually where his career goes. You know, post-pandemic, is he going back to North America? You know, obviously still a part, I believe, of the Coyotes organization. So, you know, this will be a good showcasing tournament for Liam Kirk. You know, to send video back to his coaches in North America. But it's going to stand out for me so far.
I think you nailed it in the head there, Neil. Again, he was a standout, and for me, I think it's hopefully it's a bonus for all the UK fans to see him this year, because in my mind, you know, a young Brit like that drafted with that speed and that skating ability, I'm hoping for his sake, and obviously it's his decision, but he tries to pursue that North American, you know, dream, because I think he has the ability to, I don't know, to make it, but to definitely give himself a great opportunity to, you know, knock on the door, and I'm sure he'll take that. So no, he's been really impressive, and I'm not just saying that because I don't want to see him in Sheffield next year, or he might play with Dundee, who knows? But I'd rather see a younger Brit show the example, set the example for future Brits, and make the plunge, and hopefully, you know, he can make something special as a British kid.
Last guy we'll touch on, and it's someone you know quite a bit, or you've seen a lot of, Pacha. You might not know too much about him. Sam Jones, who was at your rivals Fife, he's slotted into Sheffield and looked very accomplished this weekend as well.
Yeah, he looked good. I mean, he was really effective with Fife last year. I thought he was probably their best, or one of the best defensemen they had. And listen, I think his brother is there too in Sheffield, so it's good to have that chemistry and to have somebody they know. But he was signed early on with Sheffield in the summer, and I thought they were really high on him. And I think he was, against us, I remember he was really, really solid. And, you know, we were fortunate in Dundee. We have, you know, Chris Ingles, and obviously we signed Craig Moore. And I think Sam Jones too is up there as some of the younger established British defensemen in the league that will be talked about for many years to come. And again, good for him to get that experience and to get an opportunity to play in this tournament with Sheffield.
One guy from Sheffield I thought was very quiet this weekend. It's not like him, and I'm sure he'll grow into the tournament, is Brendan Connolly. Thought he had a quiet weekend, but he's a quality player. A bit of that rink rat about him as well, but got some high-end skill as well. So I'm sure as the tournament progresses, we'll see him come to the fore a lot more as well. But I think Aaron Fox's biggest headache at the minute is trying to get under the skin of how severe is this injury to his import netminder. I think if you've got a strong netminder in there with a lot of experience, it sets you up for success. So I think that'll be his number one headache at the minute.
Well, guys, we could do this for a lot longer, but 30 minutes is basically up. It's been very much fun. We hope to catch up with you in the rest of the tournament. In the words of Max Fortier in his post-game interview.
Look, don't cut us off. Who do you think's going to win then?